My name's Ray Carson and I'm the Phase 1 lead for the medical course here at Aston Medical School. So I met Asif about 20 years ago. I've known him quite a long time now. And at the time he was a professor at the University of Birmingham and I was a lecturer at a nearby university. So I contacted Asif because we were researching in similar fields. So I thought we might be able to collaborate. And I was struck by Asif's openness and willingness to accept me as an equal. Because I was a lecturer, he was a professor, but there was no barrier. That didn't count at all. So the thing that struck me was immediately was his energy, his tremendous energy, and that he's always had that. And a very driven person. He has very clear goals and he works towards those goals, and that was very apparent to me. And he's highly intelligent. His research is world leading. So really the setting up of the medical school has all been Asif's idea. So he was the originator of it, and it's his drive that has really made it happen. But the way he works is very collaboratively. So he has drawn in people who are drawn to the project, which is all about basing it on widening participation and social mobility. So he has a very strong sense of justice and fairness, and he's applied that into medical training. The thing about Asif, he is a very good mentor and acts very well in that role. He's also a very good leader. So leadership is not all about leading from the front, but it's about taking people with you. That's the important thing, and he has this ability to do that. Although he's our executive dean and he's a professor, but you feel like you can just talk to him like anyone else. So he makes you feel very comfortable, and he doesn't use this hierarchy at all. So he treats everyone as an equal, which is very nice. So with Asif, what I'd say is, and he agrees with this, we've discussed this, but he's a disruptive innovator. So he's really good at going into a field and then sort of turning it upside down really with some new angle or invention or approach. So he's done this with medical education, with setting up the medical school based on social mobility. But also in his research as well, he's very forward thinking. He's often way ahead of the curve, and I've seen that many times.
My name is May Rezai. I'm a PhD student at the Aston Medical School, and I'm also the Operational and Communications Officer at Mirzyme Therapeutics. So I met Asif in 2015-2016 when I was doing my master's at Aston University, and so I chose Asif's lab to do my research project. So in 2016 I asked Asif to be my mentor, primarily because when I saw his interaction with the team and the team that he led, it was really great, and it was the type of team that I always imagined to be working with. Even though I had one supervisor, I had 3 other postdocs in the team that were helping me. And whenever Asif were interacting with them, he never gave the perception that he was the boss. So he would always try to encourage everyone in the discussions. He would always empower everyone, not just his postdoc, also PhD students and research students, as well as myself, to try and get into the discussion and just feel like you're all equal in the team. And so when I saw that, and I knew that his principles and his vision were very unique, and so I asked him to be my mentor and got to know him a lot better after. So Asif's vision in the medical school, it was to build an inclusive medical school to train doctors for the future of this country. And the vision of Mirzyme is to make sure in the decade no woman is experiencing preeclampsia. One of Asif's talents as a leader is to identify other talents and talents in other people and bringing in a great team. And in Mirzyme, he's done exactly that. He's brought in a great bunch of people from different areas who are all experts and have many years of experience in their respective fields. Asif is a very driven person personally, and he's a very hard-working person who strives to reach and meet his ambitions and goals, which is very evident throughout his career. Building a very inclusive medical school, to starting Mirzyme, as well as his scientific discoveries. And throughout his career, he's been able to empower other people and to allow them to reach their best potential, including myself. And so for that I'm forever grateful for him to have given me this opportunity to work with him and to really has given me that vision to see my own potential and what I personally can achieve.
Hi, my name is Sophie Broadway-Stringer, and I was a PhD student with Professor Ahmed between 2016 and 2020. I first met Asif as part of an interview panel for a research placement during my third year at Aston University. I was a very nervous student with no expectations, but during the interview I was made to feel at ease and was treated as an equal rather than a student. After the interview, I immediately felt like I belonged in this group and was very hopeful in securing the placement. The following day I was offered the placement in Asif's lab, which sparked our mentor-mentee relationship. In the first couple of months of the placement I was still quite shy, and when Asif asked for a meeting with me to discuss what my plans were for my future, I was quite frankly terrified. At this point I did not have any feeling that I would progress to a PhD or fall in love with research, so I just explained that as long as I'm able to get some form of stable job, I'll be happy. Asif did not accept this answer. He said I should set goals for myself and strive to reach above. Apart from my family, this was the first time I really remember someone had faith in my abilities and was openly pushing me to be the best I could be. Throughout the placement year, we had various meetings whereby different members of the lab presented current research. I remember Asif being very vocal and enthusiastic in these meetings, which of course would be quite daunting if you were the presenter. But I understood that this is how science should be communicated. Following my placement year, I went on to complete my degree and gained a first-class honours in cell and molecular biology, graduating at the top of my degree class. I was very eager to carry on with my research, more importantly, in Asif's lab. I contacted Asif to ask whether there was a PhD opportunity for me in his lab, which there was. I began a month after I finished my degree and have not stopped since. Asif has not just helped me grow as a scientist, but also as a person. I'm a lot more vocal about my work and will question anything that needs to be questioned. He also taught me that if I want something I must go for it, and that failure isn't a bad thing. I will always see Asif as my first mentor, and maybe the most important one, as he's been with me every step of the way, listening to me and supporting me. I feel lucky to have had him for my supervisor, and now my friend.
Hi, I'm Atisha Adukia and I'm a second year medical student at Asif Medical School. And the first time that I met Professor Asif was at a year 1 induction lunch where himself and a bunch of the other staff members were there to greet us and welcome us into our new lives as medical students. The first instance I can remember of having a conversation with Professor Asif is when I was talking to a few of my friends, and he joined in on a conversation asking us about where we came from, our backgrounds, and just wanting to know more about us, which demonstrated two things in my opinion. The first being his interest in his students and his interest in wanting to connect with the students, as well as his passion for his reason for creating the medical school in the first place. So the first thing about his interest in connecting with the students really showed in multiple points throughout my medical school life so far, where at the beginning of our first year there was a meet and greet where not only did he try to converse with as many students as possible, but also to build an emotional connection with them. And also when he was invited to the Med Gala, which was the ball of our medical school society, he showed up and he really made an effort to sit with the students, to ask them about how the year had gone, to get feedback, and to genuinely be interested in what the students had to say. The second point about him making this most socially inclusive medical school in the whole of the UK really is shown by our cohort, and not only by the color of our skin, but by the different abilities we have and our different backgrounds. And I think it's really important to have had someone who cared about people of color and people of different backgrounds, because there's not many people who can proudly say that they have done something in order to achieve that goal. There are a few things about Professor Asif that are very admirable, and to list a few of the many, you can say that Professor Asif is very helpful and is always willing to help those around him even if that means he has to go out of his own way. Having to organize the med school ball was a difficult task, and after seeing our difficulty in organizing this, Professor Asif had generously offered to agree on a sponsorship, and he did this only so the medical students could enjoy their first year and have something to remember the medical school by. The other thing is that he believes in having no hierarchy. He believes that everyone is equal, and to him, no one is under or above the other. This, I think, is shown by his interest in his students and his colleagues, and his willingness to get to know everyone that he interacts with. And the other thing that I would like to say is that Professor Asif is very determined, and he acts on what he believes in. For example, he wanted to create a socially inclusive medical school, and that's exactly what he did. If you come to Aston Medical School now, you can see that Aston Medical School has faces all around that don't just represent one single type. We are people, we are students of all different races, of different backgrounds, and I personally think it's what makes Aston Medical School so great. And that's all thanks to Professor Asif.
Hi, I'm Dr. Merve, Assistant Professor of Medical Pharmacology Department in University of Health Science, Istanbul, Turkey. I actually met with Professor Asif Ahmed in 2016 when I was a PhD student in Istanbul University, and then he honored me by accepting to his laboratory for my PhD project. He was my second PhD supervisor. It's actually a most important chance to have a great supervisor like a Professor Asif Ahmed, especially in starting off my academic life, because I've learned so many things. I'm still learning so many things. One of example, how a study is designed and directed in a team collaboratively. Because I think if you are doing a science, collaboration is so essential. And Professor Asif Ahmed always mention about importance of team, and he says a team can success everything, and he is creative, a leadership of great multicultural, multidisciplinary team as the medical research team. They are producing very important project for solution of preeclampsia, and I'm be proud of a member of Professor Asif Ahmed team. If you are a foreign student in abroad, the first time you may have some difficulties to adapt there, but I was so lucky because Asif Ahmed so helper and so interested in to solve my problem. He was like a member of my family beyond a supervisor. He always made feel like in my home country. He's executive dean, he's a professor, he's important and really busy person. But I know that whenever I need Professor Asif Ahmed help, he tried to make time for me and he can solve my problem. During my studies in UK, he encouraged and he motivated me for my research, and he made me feel very comfortable. He trusted me and he directed my studies very cleverly, very organized, very multidisciplinarily, and the best important thing he gave me a chance to study with his professional team. And I will be grateful for everything Professor Asif Ahmed made for me. He's not only mentor in my PhD life, but also a guide for my academic life. In the future, hopefully, I will be able to mentor like a Professor Asif Ahmed for my students, hopefully. Lastly, I want to say greeting from Turkey.
My name is Afshan Ahmed, and I am a lecturer and the admissions lead at Aston Medical School. I've known Asif since the 1990s when he was at the MRC Immune Regulation Unit and I was at the Department of Infection at the medical school at the University of Birmingham. He's always come across as a very inspirational character. He is always full of energy, full of new ideas, full of innovation, and encouraged his colleagues and his students alike. Everybody felt that they could approach him with anything at any time, and he also had this ability to make people achieve to the highest standard, achieve whatever they were capable of. So later on, I joined him and played a small role in establishing Aston Medical School, which was Asif's project, and the whole idea of widening participation into medicine and also international collaboration really appealed to me. Asif is a great independent thinker. He's very brave, and he always challenges boundaries. He never accepts things as they are, and I think that's a healthy and a very innovative way of being. And he makes us believe that nothing is impossible. And working with him, I think you realize that everything is actually doable if you have the right people and you have the right attitude.
My name is Emanuele Fino, and I am a lecturer in psychology at Nottingham Trent University. I have worked for Aston Medical School, the medical school that Professor Asif Ahmed has founded from 2018 to 2020, and I will always be grateful to Asif for this extraordinary opportunity. Now, I first met Asif at my job interview in late 2017, and I will always remember that day. So I remember walking in the room nervously. It was my job interview. I was excited but tense. I didn't know what to expect, but I really wanted that job. And I remember him looking at me while I was presenting and while I was answering the questions. And I have felt from that very moment that he was trying not just to listen to what I was saying or the skills and competencies that I could bring to the school, but look at me as a person and trying to connect with me on that level, trying to understand me as a person and what I could bring, what values I could bring to the school. And this is something that, in my opinion, makes Asif a fantastic leader, which is not just focus on tasks, not just command people from the top, but give them the opportunity to express themselves, because he believes that when people express themselves, they will make the best of the school and the organization they work for. And so I think Asif is an inspirational leader. He's been an inspirational leader for us, for all the members of the teams at Aston Medical School. And I will always also remember the first day when the school opened and the speech that he gave to students. I think that was incredibly inspiring, not just for the students, but also for us members of staff. I remember him talking about his vision of an inclusive medical school, a socially inclusive medical school, and what was a vision had turned into reality thanks to him. So I think his extraordinary contribution to the community has been to give students with fewer opportunities the chance to study medicine and thus to shape their lives, the lives of their families, and the lives of the people in the community. So I will always be grateful to him for this fantastic experience. And for example, something else that I think I will always bring with me in my career is the fact that he's tried to push me further from the very first day I've worked for the medical school. So not just to do my job, but also to explore other territories. For example, trying to collaborate with his research group. I was honored to collaborate with fantastic research at Aston and the possibility to contribute with my skills to his research in preeclampsia, a research that is going to change millions of lives of pregnant women and their babies. So I think I owe a lot to Asif, and I think that a lot of people owe to him. So I only want to say thanks, Asif, and I'm grateful to have met you, and I'm grateful because you have shaped my career. Thank you.